So from JR Performance, we've got the team principal and owner, Joe Richardson, with 2 riders this year, one yet to be announced, and his current rider from the National Superbike Championship, Joe Talbot.
So hello, folks. Hello, guys. Thank you very much for coming on the Superbike Show. We've got a full show this evening. Thank you. Hello, Joe and Joe. And good to both have you on the show. I suppose I think we spoke briefly about an hour ago, just before the show, Joe Richardson. This is going to get confusing, isn't it? But you mentioned that having Joe Talbot is not necessarily a big surprise because he's a well-known partnership with you. You're now making it official, though.
Yeah, no, sure, yeah. Obviously, I only got invited on myself about an hour and a half ago. Chris messaged me and said, "Oh, do you fancy coming on tonight? Joe's coming on." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, no problem. We can do that."
Thank you. Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, sure. Obviously with little Joe, the best way, probably the way to keep us separate is probably he's little Joe and I'm big Joe. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
I wasn't going to say that, but you said that.
No, it's fine. Obviously, Joe's been with me now for, sort of going back to 2020, 21, 22, and now we're obviously going into 23. So, yeah, I'm really chuffed, obviously, to have young Joe in the team again for this year. He's come a hell of a long way over the years for only 19 years old as well. And he just keeps learning and learning. He did a good job last year on the Kawasaki ZX-10. We got the bike where we needed to get it at every circuit we went to, and he went out and performed as well as he could every time that he got on it. So, and we had some solid top finishes as well, which was great.
Okay, well, high praise indeed, Joe Talbot, or Little Joe, as we should call you, maybe right now. So, glad to be back again. And what's your pre-season training, or what are your plans at the moment, Little Joe or Joe Talbot?
Yes, thanks for having me on, first of all. From a pre-season, what's happened so far, I'd only had 4 days on my new bike. That was in December. So I've just been training hard at home, trying to stay on enduro bikes, dirt bikes, any sort of bike that I really can get my hands on to stay fit. And I'm just off to Spain shortly, I think Friday this week, so I can go and test my Honda with the full team there, which I'm looking forward to.
Cool. All right. And, I know Chris and Lewis, I think, has some questions for you, as well as anybody listening live. I'll be checking out the comments on the BSB fans Facebook group and on Motorsport Radio as well. So, Chris, any questions?
Yeah, Joe. So, Little Joe. Sorry, I can't just say Joe. Little Joe, you mentioned about, your off-season testing in terms of, trying to get on anything with 2 wheels. What are you most looking forward to about the Spanish testing, moving forward into the main season?
Well, I'm most looking forward to get my hands back on my big bike, my Honda. Like I said before, I've only rode it 4 days and I really enjoyed the time that I had on it. And I went at a good pace straight away, which I'm happy about. So the time I've not been on the bike, I've just been itching to get back on it. And it'll be good because there's a few faster boys there, which I'll get, who have a lot of experience, which I can learn on, and then see for the pre-season where I can gain the edge and basically up my game before the season has even started. So I'm just looking forward to it because it's going to be a hard, good learning experience, and I feeling confident with the 4 days he had in December. So just buzzing, really.
Well, in terms of, a change of bike, new start, new season, it must give you some confidence into the new season, looking at, people like Davey Todd, on similar machinery, at the results that the bike's capable of.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was one of the reasons why we changed as well. Just the mental side of it straight away. You got so much confidence in the bike, as you know. It's done it for the last 2 years, so you know the bike can do it. There's no excuses there. So it's all down to you and your team to get the bike where you need to have it, because you know the bike is capable. So when I had them 4 days on it and I felt how good the bike was and how comfy I was straight away, it just filled me with excitement.
Because looking at the grid, in general, for both national superstock and for British Superbikes, Honda seems to be at the moment the manufacturer of choice. Going back into previous seasons, Honda have been here and there with the results. What do you think Honda have done as a manufacturer coming into this season that's made teams choose Honda as a manufacturer?
I'm not really sure, but all I can say is how dominant the bike was and how many riders who jumped on the bike and went up them 10 positions that they couldn't do on the bike before. So it just shows you the bike is helping out people a lot, and it's just got the edge on the rest of the manufacturers at the minute.
Big Joe, your thoughts on the the Honda and the switch to a different manufacturer? It must be exciting, but a new challenge for the team going into 2023 with a completely clean slate.
Yeah, no, sure. Obviously, it's a big thing for me to obviously give up the Kawasaki thing. Obviously, I've been Kawasaki for 4 years now, so it's a massive commitment from myself to obviously to jump to Honda. But obviously, it seems the bike that everybody wants to ride. So from obviously my point of view, I've got to put a bike out there basically that everybody wants to ride. I think the Honda, it's obviously a proven bike and it's competitive. Honda have never not built a good bike. To be fair, they've always put a good bike out there. The Kawasaki, it's still a strong bike and it's still good. It just lacks a little bit in speed. That's all. It's got its benefits. It's ups and downs. The Kawasaki stops well. Probably Joe would probably tell you it probably stops better than the Honda, to be fair, stability wise. But then the Honda, obviously, it drives off the turn a lot better than what the Kawasaki does. So we've found a lot of benefits and gains from ups and downs from both bikes, from doing a test just before Christmas with Joe on the Honda, from doing a test at that circuit early on in the year on the Kawasaki. So, but no, I'm looking forward to it. Like you say, it's a new change, new challenge. I think it'll be good. I think we'll get out to Spain. We've got 3 days to Andalusia planned, and then we're going to go on to Cartagena for a 3-day test there. So we've got 6 solid days of getting through some stuff, and we'll see where we go with it.
Brilliant, thanks, guys.
Joe Talbot, if we just look back at last season and compare it to your test with the Honda, have you noticed any main differences with the bike, since we're talking about it being such the bike of choice on the grid this year? Have you noticed much difference?
Massive amounts of difference for me. Like Big Joe said, let's start off with the disadvantage I thought with the Honda. There was the on the brakes, it just doesn't feel as good. However, it's so stable, the bike. Like even getting on the gas, there's no proper squirrely moments or hard on the brakes. It's not pitching. It's just nice, calm, collected bike. And the power is just ridiculous compared to the Kawasaki. But plus the way it delivers the power, it's so much nicer. I thought I had to wrestle the Kawasaki with the Honda. I'm not wrestling with it. Even with only 4 days experience on it, the time I was on it, I wasn't fighting the bike. It was just nice and flowing, which when it's like that for me, it just builds my confidence up and it just get better and better.
And speaking about last season on that Kawasaki, how would you say the season went in 2022?
The season went well. It was a good learning experience. However, I would have liked better than what I did, especially at a few races. I think midpoint through the year, I had a bit of a low spot and wasn't having very good results. But then at the start of the year and at the end of the year, picked the pace back up and had some decent results. I had 2 top 10 finishes, which is an okay thing to say about Stock 1000. As we all know, it's such a hard class, but as being a racer and the person I am, I would have liked quite a bit more. However, this year now I've got the package, and I think I'll make the changes that I needed last year, and I'll be up there.
And of course, last year you weren't just racing in the British Superbikes, you're also having a go there and then at the No Limits Championship. How has that helped you? How has it helped you getting that added track time last year at No Limits on the same circuits which you race at British Superbikes?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helps when you go to a No Limits track before BSB, because there's a 7-day rule which you can't go to that track before. So if you go to the track 2 weeks before, and you've got that bit of an fair advantage, and normally a few BSB boys come because they get the experience like you're having before the British go to that track. So I just love that championship, to be fair. And unfortunately, I'm not doing it this year. I don't have the budget to do both. However, I don't really need it as much as this year because I've got the experience on the 1000 and how it works. However, last year it was my first time on a 1000cc, and you have to ride the bike a whole lot different to a 600. And even the tracks, you go round tracks different on 1000 than you do on a 600. So what I did last year, winning that 1000 Pirelli National Championship, that was good for me because it gave me the advantage of how to go around that circuit before we went to the British rounds.
And winning the No Limits Championship, how difficult was that last season? What is the level like at No Limits to keep you motivated and focused for British Superbikes? It definitely keeps you on the edge. However, it's not nowhere near as fast as British. However, but on the other hand, you can't just toddle around and win. You have to try. It was definitely not a race that I didn't try. And the guys there that are just a lot friendlier, because even though they're giving it their all, it's not like the British. However, the British is relentless, but the guys at No Limits are awesome, and I can't thank No Limits enough for what they've done and helped me out with tyres and stuff like that. And it's like I say, it's not as fast. However, you can't go there thinking, I can just laugh about as I'm going around and just win. You've got to try, and maybe you'll get a second. I didn't win all the races. I had seconds and thirds, and I'd even had a crash because I was trying. So it's not easy. It's not easy. And you spoke about last season as well, it being your first year on the 1000cc. What would you say has been the biggest learning curve moving up to super stock bike, whether that be with your riding style or setup of the bike?
I think it's a big jump from the 600 to 1000. If you've never rode 1000 ever, when you first get on 1000, let's say that first session, you jumped onto 1000, it's like, Jesus, how am I going to handle this around the track? It's that fast compared to a 600. And it's not a lot heavier either than the 600. So you've got about 10, 12 kilos more, but then another 100 horsepower. So it's really hard, but the more time you put in and the harder you try, you get to grips with how it works. And even when you get behind faster riders, you learn. And it's just, I think over time, you just adapt and adapt. So that's why in Stock 1000, you've got these, like Billy McConnell's so experienced guys at the front still, because the experience in the class helps so much, and you can't really buy the experience. So it will come with more you practice, you'll get better at it.
And moving over now to Big Joe, Joe Richardson. If we look at your normal weekend helping and running the team, how would you say you help, little Joe over the course of a normal weekend?
Obviously, me and Joe, we work together, and we obviously set up the bike over a weekend. He goes out on track, he comes back, he does track maps, sits down, talk, and then we talk through corner by corner. What gear is in, all them sort of things. What's the front doing, where's he braking, all them sort of things. And I just generally sit there and we chat, go through everything, and then basically we then change the bike based on his feedback, really. Obviously with the 1000 machine, we have the Motec data logging system, which gives us a lot of information that we need to know. So, if there's areas where Joe's struggling to give feedback, then obviously the data's there to back it up, and it sort of pulls us through, and we can then make a decision based on on the data rather than Joe's feedback, if that's the case. It's not always like that. You know, he is quite good with his feedback. He sort of is now getting to grips with what's going on and what's feeling where. That's good.
And one final question for me before I hand back over to Christian. This last season, running, of course, in the Superstock 1000 Championship and in the 600 Championship, how difficult was it running 3 bikes last year in 2 different series?
Difficult as far as on a scale of 1 to 10, or because if we go on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably get near on to 10. It was a very difficult year last year. It's not the ideal situation. You know, you have to have a lot of the right people around you in the team to be able to function both classes properly. You know, when there's just somebody like myself in the team, it's very difficult, you know, to make them decisions. You know, I have a really, really lot of good helpers around me, you know, who are good lads, changing wheels, fuel, you know, and bits and pieces, you know, even taking gearboxes out and stuff like that. They're capable enough of doing all that. But obviously when it comes to making changes setup-wise, them lads just aren't quite good enough to be in that position. So for me to obviously be at the awning when Joe was in, and then be down pit lane when the 600s were out, a couple of times I got caught out, and it was quite a challenging thing to do. So so it's the right call this year just to run in Stock 1000, obviously a 2-man team in Stock 1000, and see how we get on.
So a question to both Big Joe, Little Joe. A question that I ask a lot of riders, and in terms of tyres, in terms of handling of the bike, and what Joe was saying, you know, Little Joe was saying about having the ability to go to no limits events, practice, potentially look at some issues that you've experienced during the BSB rounds. Thruxton, Knockhill, 2 circuits, Thruxton specifically, where the track time at club events or at track days just isn't there. And obviously one of those circuits, Thruxton, being the tyre wear problem, and a circuit where you just don't have that ability to have that track time. How do you go into a weekend like that at Knockhill and Thruxton, knowing the challenges, and, you know, how do you prepare for that?
Well, when you both go there blind, we've done it before. In the 600 class, we went Thruxton. The first time ever, we went blind. And this year, the first time ever on the 1000, we went there blind. But I think when you get the FP1 out the way and you see your data and your feelings, you sort of get, you're not in the ballpark, but you sort of straight away, you know which direction to go in. But that's also nowhere near where you should be, if that makes sense. So it's hard, but it always helps if you get going straight away. Then obviously, you know you're going in the right direction. But when you go there blind, you've just got to get as much time as you can in the sessions. Like, let's say the session 25 minutes, your maximum you want to come in is like once, so you build the experience up around the track and get the data in. And then FP2, that's when you really start looking to tweak your bike and how you can improve your lap time.
Big Joe?
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I mean, we've just got over Thruxton, to be fair. I can't believe you actually brought it up, because it wasn't a very good weekend for us, that one. But we'll be stronger this year, I'm sure. But no, I think Joe, to be honest, I think Little Joe's just, you know, he nailed pretty much all of it on the head there. It was a fair comment to what he said there. You know, FP1 again, you know, you take a little bit of a stab in the dark with your setting. You know, obviously if you've not been there before with the machine, it's sort of like, right, you know, we'll calculate a bit of a gearing and we'll try this gearing in FP1. And then obviously what I did for the 1000 machine, I sort of looked at what we sort of ran on the 600 machine and sort of took a little bit of the same step with the 1000 as far as spring rates and stuff like that. So same again, a little bit of a stab in the dark. We sort of just went for a setting, get out there in FP1, just like Joe says, spin as many laps as you possibly can and just accumulate lots of data to then obviously to then go in the right direction for FP2, and hopefully obviously progress progress and go forward with the bike settings.
So as now, this has been a relationship, between you two, for a number of years now. Little Joe, from a personal level, even though it's a new bike, number of years with the team now, what's your expectations? Where would you like to be as the season progresses? What's your target for yourself?
Yeah, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, so I'll just leave a fair one with just constant top tens. To be fair, that's what I'm aiming for now. But I believe if I get up there, like really up there, I'll stay up there. I'm that type of rider. I won't be up there at one track and then shake down at a different track. Not really. I'm fairly consistent. So really, I've got to go to this test and see how against these fast boys. And also we'll get to round 1 Silverstone and in the FP1 and FP2 and even the qualifying sessions, we'll see where we're at. So, but my goals are for the year, constant top tens, but we all know if you beat that goal straight away, you're always looking for more.
Thank you, guys. I'll hand over to Lester.
Fascinating. Just hearing Little Joe, your mindset, and from a team boss's point of view as well, Big Joe. And you touched on it earlier, I think, mentioning that the sort of behind the scenes talent, as it were, the people on the spanners and doing all the integral team stuff. That I've never been part of a team. I don't know what goes on. But some top team stuff, spanners and people make the brews and whatnot. And, I hear, Joe, Big Joe, that you may have made an addition to your team this year. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, to be fair, I think Chris could probably tell you a little bit more, to be honest. I've known Chris a few years now. And obviously, he absolutely harassed me last year. Can I have a job, Joe? Joe, can I have a job? Can I have a job? And I'm like,
that's
for God's sake, Chris. Leave it out, will you? Get back on your flags. And, this year, we've had a bit of a flick round with the team and different people. And I was just sort of, I was sat thinking to myself and I thought, Chris, yeah. Nice, really, really nice lad, he'd be a really nice kid to have in the team. So I just sent him a message, do you fancy a job? And there we go.
And he bit your arm off.
Absolutely, yeah. Chris is going to be joining us this year. He's going to help out with the tyres, and then obviously jump onto the bikes as and when we need him, And he tells me that he's quite good with data logging as well. So no pressure there, Chris. But we'll soon find out.
Exactly. Yeah, you see how much of that he was actually telling the truth with. Congratulations, Chris. You're now part of the team, I suppose. So fantastic. How do you feel?
Yeah, really good. Like I say, I worked on a couple of teams many years ago. With different family members owning teams, getting hands in with teams. So it's been a lot of years where I've been trackside, either officiating in Orange, and it's just time for a change, really. But they always say, variety's the spice to life. I'm just looking forward to essentially getting down and getting my hands dirty, as well as, supporting Joe and Little Joe. With the new venture in the National Superbike Championship.
Well, fantastic. And if there's any other announcements in the future, Big Joe, then you're more than welcome to come back on. Or, of course, now you've got an inside man from the show. Chris can tell us as well. But, you're both more than welcome to come on anytime. Little Joe, good luck with the season and everything and testing and whatnot. And we can maybe catch up later in the season to find out how successful it's been.
Yes,
and I'm sure it will be. So
thank you.
Definitely. Big Joe, Little Joe, thank you both for coming on the Superbike Show.